Hello and welcome everybody to this special presentation of Salesforce Summer Release Readiness. We are from the Quip product team and we are super excited to be showing you what we've built in the Summer 19 release. But before we get into the actual presentation and the demos, which I know is what most of you are online and watching for, I have to cover the Salesforce forward-looking statement. We are product managers, so we're going to be showing you some things that may not be generally available as yet. So please make your purchasing decisions based only on generally available product. Phew, with that out of the way, I'm Arnab Bose. I'm a product manager here at Quip, and I'm focusing on Quip for Salesforce, which is what most of this presentation, this demo is going to be about.
I'm Sophia Westwood. I'm a product manager at Quip on Quip for Salesforce. I joined Quip about 5 years ago, and one thing I'm really excited for in the presentation today is how it really shows the evolution of Quip from a standalone app at acquisition 3 years ago to really being embedded within Salesforce, and not just Salesforce as a product, but really the Salesforce ecosystem. So jumping in, I'm going to talk a little bit about the background of the problem statement motivating Quip as a product before jumping into specifically what we're releasing this summer, and then we'll transition over to some demos of that work. So why does Quip exist? The idea is that all of us are familiar with these email chains that start off pretty well. They start off with somebody writing up a pretty thoughtful email about what the team needs to do at this next meeting, what some of the goals are, what some of the numbers are. Then somebody replies being like, oh, hey, you forgot somebody, let me add them on. Somebody else replies updating a number. Someone else replies linking to Salesforce. Somebody else says, hey, point 3, we really need to talk about that one, I think it needs to be different. And before you know it, by the time you're looped in, this thing is 40 emails deep, and you're doing this archaeological dig just to reconstruct what's happening, let alone what somebody's even asking you for. The problem with this is that it makes work go a lot slower. It means people have these information silos where one person can access that link and somebody else can't. And now they're working off different information. It means that one person successfully reconstructed how email 33 changed the meaning of email 16, but somebody else didn't, so now they're both confused. It means that employees get really frustrated. They sap their energy trying to figure out what's going on and trying to get on the same page instead of actually doing that work. That's where Quip comes in. Quip is an app designed to try to make working together feel a lot easier and a lot more enjoyable by literally getting everybody on the same page. It centralizes work into a single canvas, a single document that's live, it's live updating, that has conversations happening in line, so that everybody can be pulled in seamlessly and all work off of that same information. Quip for Salesforce brings those documents directly into Salesforce. It's something that we announced at Dreamforce last year. It's something that I was really proud to work on and sort of take from really a pretty challenging technical and product problem of having these two separate apps, Quip over here and Salesforce over here, and combining them into one app and Quip feeling seamlessly embedded into Salesforce. Now what we're doing is we're taking that even further. We're showing you how you can centralize the work that happens outside of Salesforce and bring it in via Quip. We're showing you how to use templates so you can scale your strategy. And we're showing you how to coordinate faster and how Quip can help you actually break out of those information silos that are causing so much pain. Here are some of the key use cases. We've seen a lot of success around this idea of a live deal feed, which we're going to be going deeper into later. These close plans, rich opportunity notes, living account plans, and the idea that there's so much unstructured work that's happening over email, happening maybe even over text message or messaging at clients, that could be happening within Quip, and not just within Quip, but really within Salesforce, right next to that Salesforce context and Salesforce data. So one of the things that we've announced is Quip for Sales Cloud. Quip for Sales Cloud is a way that you can use these Quip autofill templates to actually create and pre-populate these documents with information for account plans, for mutual success plans, for QBR documents, and even more with this data from Salesforce. The idea is that rather than trying to scale up a company's strategy using a Word document or maybe using an email, you can actually scale it up by creating this template that can be pre-populated with this data. It couples really well with the Quip Notifications Lightning component. This lets you get notified when somebody adds you to a document, when somebody creates one of those templates and mentions you on it, when somebody asks you a question or replies to a comment chain that you've made specifically about a portion of that document. When you embed the Quip Notifications component on your homepage, it means anybody within Salesforce can then start to get that feed of where they need to be paying attention to and the sorts of places that they can contribute in order to help the team move forward. So with that, I'm going to hand it off to Arnab to talk about living account plans and show you what all this looks like in practice.
Awesome. Thank you for that intro, Sophia, and for covering what Quip is and what Quip for Salesforce is. I'm going to move into my demo org and actually show you guys Quip for Salesforce in action. What you can see over here on the left-hand side is I've got an executive briefing document directly embedded into Sales Cloud Lightning. And this is a full-blown Quip document. I can do everything that I can normally do in Quip directly in here. Like if I need to bring in Cindy into this conversation, I can simply mention her. If I need to bring in one of these experiences over here that are unique to Quip, which are our live apps, I can either insert them by clicking on this live app menu, which is again visible inside of Salesforce Lightning Experience, and bring in something like a process bar. Or once I've kind of gotten used to Quip and I've used it for a while, I can simply use the @mention button to bring in these dynamic, rich experiences like process bars, progress bars, even Salesforce records directly into this collaboration canvas. And the important thing to remember about Quip is a collaboration and productivity canvas. It lets you go ahead and bring together, as Sophia was saying, multiple conversations, rich document content, spreadsheets with full formula capabilities, as well as slides into a single productivity canvas. If I take a look at this comment button over here, you'll notice that I have a way to go ahead and @mention everybody. I can see when people are responding in real time. If I bring in Cody the bear into this conversation and say hi, he's going to get a response or a notification rather in real time. And if I take a look at Cody's Quip, when he gets brought into the conversation, he sees all of the context. He sees full transparency about what changes were made. He sees all the data on the right-hand side that indicates when all the @mentions and everything happened. And when he responds back to one of these comments, that response is seen in real time by Astro, who's looking at this particular document live inside Salesforce. So if you've never used Quip before, remember Quip is a productivity canvas, and it's way more than just a document. It really gets you to closure faster, helps you get work done faster, and helps bring that transparency. And with Quip for Salesforce, we brought that full power of Quip directly into Lightning. One of the things I want to showcase before diving directly into this living account plans demo is Quip notifications are also available directly within Salesforce. So you notice that Cody liked the executive brief document comment, and that immediately popped up in this Quip notifications component that is now available out of the box starting summer 19. If I click on one of these notifications, it directly takes me to that particular comment thread and light boxes that particular comment. Again, this is a standard feature in Quip. If you've been a Quip user for a long time, you just know that this works. But what we've done is we brought that full power directly inside Salesforce. So as a Salesforce user, you don't have to switch context. You don't have to learn yet another tool to go get your work done. You can get that full collaboration and productivity experience directly here inside of Lightning. But this demo is supposed to be about Quip for Sales and living account plans. So it's kind of cool. You can create documents and you can get notifications inside of Lightning. But what is that? What is a solid end-to-end use case that really brings this to life? Well, one of those use cases is living account plans. We actually rolled out account planning in Quip across all of Salesforce for our own internal sales team. And between March of this year, when it actually launched, and today, I think over 6,000 people have filled in account plans, and over 4,500 of those are published and active within our own internal Salesforce instance. So it's been picking up pretty virally within our own company, and we hope that the power of the transparency that these account plans bring will also be used by you, our customers. So what you're looking at over here right now is an account record detail page inside of Lightning. Looks pretty standard. You've got Einstein Next Best Action showing up, which is one of my older products, so I couldn't help but give it a little bit of a plug over here. And you've got standard record related lists and details pages. But you've also got a tab called Account Plan. What this tab has is it's containing the Quip document Lightning component, and it's pointing that Lightning component to a template. So this is the template that's in the background that you can see in gray. If I switch over and I show you what the template looks like, I'm logged in as Cody in my other instance of Quip, you'll notice that that particular template has these double bracket mail merge format fields. These are really important and interesting because what this allows us to do is when a new document is created from this template and it's parented to an account, we can actually pre-fill and pre-populate content in the document using data from the surrounding record. So one of the things that you'll hear us sort of reiterate throughout this presentation is how Quip is all about reducing mundane, repetitive work. So if you're using Quip for Salesforce and you're tying Quip to your Salesforce record data, we can use that record data to ensure you're not having to add in all that context, you're not having to go ahead and repeat all that work that you would have normally been copy-pasting into various documents. So let's see that in action. If I click New Document from Template, what's going to happen is we're going to copy over that document directly into this particular Lightning component. And you notice that this Acme Corporation name has got swapped in. Instead of having those double bracket mail merge fields, you now have the name of the actual account. And then more than that, we now have a live application here, or what is called the Salesforce Record Live App. And that's also pointing to Acme, and it's bringing in some key fields from the Acme record. This is a brand new feature in the summer release, which we call, in our product manager sort of tech lingo, live app automatic initialization. And what this means is if you've gotten a template document created which contains the live app, as long as that live app is pointing to the same record type, like an account, when you clone a template and create a new document from it and parent it to an account, it will automatically connect to the correct account object and populate the data from it. This live app is pretty interesting because it means that once you've got this populated, if you open up this document in Quip going forward, you can see bidirectionally syncing data if you have access to that particular record. And you can also make changes to it and sync it back to Salesforce. So for example, if I @mention Cody again over here and ask him a question, hey, is this right? What he's going to see on his side is he's going to get a notification to the document. And when he opens up that document, he's going to get brought directly to that Salesforce record live app over here. He can say, no, we need to change it. And once he's done that, he can actually go ahead and make the changes himself and switch it over to Investor or any of the other choices and hit Save to Salesforce. And this is actually going to go ahead and sync those changes back into Salesforce. So the idea is, A, reduce mundane work by creating these autofill templates that you can associate with accounts, and then leverage the power of Quip to drive collaboration around that account in a real-time manner in a way where, hey, if you actually need to go ahead and update some simple fields, you can do that directly from within Quip. So that's an insight into how living account plans can be built using Quip for Salesforce in the Summer 19 release. With that, let's hand it back to Sophia, and she's going to cover the next set of updates we've got going.
Awesome. So Arnab, I heard you worked on a really interesting product before you joined Quip this year. What was it?
If you haven't heard me talking about it before, it was Lightning Flow and Einstein Next Best Action. And yeah, it was a pretty cool product to work on because of the number of Salesforce admins who were psyched about using Flow and Process Builder.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like it'd be a pretty good idea to connect Quip up to that.
Yeah, I mean, if folks are fans of Process Builder and Flow, you guys know that those are the best ways to go declaratively build apps. And then the idea that Sophia, you and I kind of brainstormed was, hey, what if you could actually use the power of Process Builder and Flow to automate productivity, to bring in the right people, to bring in the right document at the right time based off of changes in CRM. So yes, let's go do that. Let's go show how we built it out.
All right, sweet. So Process Builder and Flow Builder for Quip. I think this was one of the coolest things that we worked on for this release because, again, like I was talking about last year when the team was working on embedding Quip documents into Salesforce, we're thinking about let's embed that live editing into Salesforce. Let's embed those mentions into Salesforce. Let's embed those notifications into Salesforce. But we weren't necessarily at the time working on how do we really connect up to the Salesforce ecosystem? How do we connect up to this idea of clicks, not code? And how do we make it possible to really deploy these things at scale? And Process Builder and Flow Builder has really been the answer to that. So what we've done is it means that not only do we have those templates as a starting point for starting to automate and roll out these things at scale, we actually have these fully fledged API endpoints that we've put into Process Builder and Flow drag and drop programming so that you can build those collaborative documents and then you can automate them and actually automatically pull people in, move things to folders, and so on. So these are the invokable actions that we've added in this release. So for the first time ever, you can actually start copying documents, creating templates, creating new documents, creating folders, editing documents even. You can say, when this case changes status, I want to move my document, or I want to change my document in this way, or I want to add a section to my document, or maybe I want to clone a set of different templates depending on that. We're actually going to see that later. And it doesn't just stop there. It means you can actually have these bots that start sending messages and chats based on actions or data that changes in Salesforce. And this is really amazing, I think, because Quip has had an automation API for a long time, but it's one thing to say you can automate your productivity if you know how to write Python, or if you know how to create a custom Java class. It's a whole nother thing to say you can do this if you're a Salesforce admin anywhere who can use some of those tools that are now built with Process Builder and Flow. So let's see an example of that.
Awesome, thank you, Sophia. And so the way we'll explain this example is, again, with an actual use case that we have been using within the Quip product team, which is live deal feeds. We want to stay up to date on how our business is running and on how the Quip sales team is doing. So we actually built out this concept for live deal feed, which exports a Salesforce report on strategic opportunities that are present within a particular quarter. And as activity happens on those opportunities, we can use the power of Quip to engage in them in real time. So if you're looking at my demo screen, what you see is you've got a spreadsheet in here called FY20 Strategic Opportunities, and it's actually got live data in it from Salesforce. The way that live data works is if I go into the Reports tab, and I take a look at the FY20 Strategic Opportunities report, you'll notice that there is an option here called Open in Quip. When I click on the Open in Quip option, I get two options to go ahead and import that data into Quip, either as live data or simply as a one-time export into a spreadsheet. I use the live data option to go ahead and import data into this FY20 Strategic Opportunity spreadsheet, and it means that as opportunities change status, these stages and these values will stay up to date. So that's something we've actually had for a while. The really interesting thing is the use of Process Builder to go ahead and automate actions and activity when things change. So let's actually make a change and see what happens. Let's open up this new wholesale opportunity, which is currently in needs analysis status, and go ahead and mark that as closed won. Let's say we won this opti, and when I hit save, you'll notice the new kind of celebration experience that the path component provides, and that's cool. That's really awesome for the person who's actually closing the deal. But how do we actually loop in everybody else who's on the sales team and get them to support and engage with the agent who went ahead and closed it? If I take a look at Quip now and expand this out so I can see the conversation feed, you'll notice that Astro, as part of closing that particular deal, has automatically posted using an @everyone mention, which sends out a notification to everybody who has access to this particular document, saying that he closed a strategic deal at a particular bank. This is pulling out the data from the actual opportunity record with a link to the opportunity and the opportunity amount. And if you take a look at the actual Salesforce report, what I've done over here is I've leveraged simple conditional formatting that is part of Quip spreadsheets to go ahead and mark that cell as green when that data is synced and updated as closed won. So we can leverage the power of Process Builder to go and drive up engagement, get people to look at a single source of truth, and really get psyched about how well their sales team is doing. If I take a look at this from the perspective of Cody, again, because of that @everyone mention, Cody would get that notification. He can like it. He can even bring in GIFs that sort of celebrate that win, and all of that stuff is going to be visible again directly inside of Salesforce for Astro. So how do we set this up? That's the cool thing, right? So if I take a look at this tab here, which is Process Builder open, I'm going to look for the opportunity object and see how I set that up. So I've got this process called closed won opportunities. It's a process that runs on the opportunity object. It checks to see if the opportunity that was closed is greater than a certain value, and we see if the pick list is set to closed won. And then we post some immediate actions. So one of the immediate actions we post is sending a message in a Quip document. And you notice that the message is constructed using a formula value. So inside the formula, I can actually do an @everyone mention and pull out certain field values from the opportunity so that that particular message gets customized to the opportunity that I'm actually closing. So let me show you all of the actions that are available inside of Summer 19. I'm cloning this process, and if I click Add Action over here, you'll notice that under Action Type, there's a new category called Quip, and under that Quip category, there are 11 different actions that you can trigger. You can create a brand new document. You can associate a document with a record so it starts showing up in the records, files, or Quip associated documents list. You can copy a document from a template. You can send a message in a document. This is the action that I'm taking to go ahead and send those deal one messages. You can even edit a document by sending in data or text that you can append or prepend. You can move documents into a folder. You can create new folders. You can send messages in the chat. And all of these things are going to be documented as part of our Salesforce Summer 19 release process. So that's the power of Process Builder and Quip working together. You can use Quip to go ahead and create these engaging reports that stay in sync and are live and are embedded inside Salesforce. But then you can use the power of Process Builder to actually push these events that'll get your end users to re-engage with the data, that'll help them understand when their business is changing or how it's changing, and help them close their deals faster with Quip. So with that, let me hand it back to Sophia, who's going to introduce the next set of things we've done.
Awesome. So now you're trying to get a taste for what we mean when we talk about embedding Quip into Salesforce, automating productivity, speeding up some of these workflows. And so far we focused a lot on sales use cases. The other place where this really comes into play, though, is in Service Cloud. It's another place where it matters to have everybody on the same page when that high priority case is escalating. It's not just deals that you need to close, where urgency is important, where communication is important, where collaboration really matters. It's something where we've seen sometimes when you're doing user research as product managers, people are using Salesforce rich text fields to try to summarize everything happening with a case. And maybe that's okay if somebody forgot a receipt and wants to return an item, but it's not really okay when you have some pretty complicated issue with maybe equipment malfunction and you need to figure out, what's going on. Like, you need to tell the engineer, here's what the thing sounds like, here's what it looks like. They need to pull in their superior. They need to pull in other people to try and diagnose it. They need to pull in people who did some testing. And that's something where it can quickly become a mess. It can quickly become one of those 40 email chains that we were talking about. And with Quip for Service Cloud, Arnab's going to show you how all that can actually go much more smoothly by bringing together all these components that we've been talking about.
Great. So let's take a look at Quip for Service Cloud and how to embed the full power of Quip into a service process like case escalation. So if you're taking a look at my demo environment, you see I'm logged into Brightbank Service Console, and I'm looking at a case that is a high priority case that has something to do with an international wire transfer, and I don't really know how to solve it. I could go into this case swarming tab and actually manually start a new document about this particular case and start mentioning people and get help. But what if I don't know that I should do that? What if I don't know how to actually get help or even who to ask? Well, this is where Quip for Salesforce really comes to play. We can take the whole power of Quip's real-time productivity platform and then tie it into Process Builder and Flow to help that end-to-end experience go way more faster, way smoother for the end user. So I'm going to go ahead and say I need help over here by escalating this case. And as soon as I hit save, well, several things are going to happen. I'm going to use a Process Builder process that looks for a change on the case record to trigger a whole bunch of these changes. So once I know that this case has been escalated, I can automatically bring in a Quip chat room. So I brought in the escalation team chat room, and this component became visible because the state of the case changed to escalated. I used Process Builder to send a message into the chat room that, again, used the @everyone mention so everybody gets a push notification, and let them know that there's a new case escalation for Acme Corporation, and that we are tracking that information here in the Swarm Room template. I also used a flow to automatically create a document from a template and pre-populate the document with details about the case. Now there's a live case record embedded in it. There's information in these pre-fill mail merge fields. All that has happened. And I, again, used the power of Flow and Process Builder to @mention the right people and move it into the right folder. So if I take a look at the folder this document's in, it's automatically in this case swarming demo folder because it needs to be swarmed. So 3 things happened over there. I leveraged a change in Salesforce, which I could trigger a Process Builder process on. I brought in a swarm team by @mentioning everybody in a swarm room Quip chat room. I created a Quip document which has a whole bunch of details that I should be filling out as the case agent, and I also moved that particular Quip document into a particular folder. And because I'm doing all of these things from the perspective of the service agent who's working on the case, they can simply live in Lightning, they can remain in Lightning Service Console, and they can get help. They can sort of leave little notes over here that say things like, I don't know how to handle international wires. And then whoever in the particular team can actually help them with that, they're going to get notified. They're going to notice this particular document's been created. They're going to see all of this data that is relevant to helping them respond back to Astro. And they can even respond with links back to other documents. This is something that is pretty easy in Quip, and if you're a Quip user, you know how to do this already. But we've never had this power of real-time responses that's looping in documents you've created in a real-time collaboration environment directly inside of Lightning. So inside Lightning, I'm going to start seeing that. But I know what you guys are most interested in is how this has been set up. So let me kind of walk you through that. All right, let's take a look at how you'd add a Quip document component to your page in Lightning App Builder. Simply search for Quip and drag and drop the Quip document component onto the page. I already have one here, so let's take a look at the settings options. You'll see that there's an option for different documents on each record. This will allow you to do things like have the end user choose whatever document they want for that particular record page. You can also put the same document on each record. You'd want to do this if you want to have an admin-controlled read-only document, let's say, with a call script or maybe objection handling for sales use cases on a specific record. Or the one that we've been using in all our demos is using a template for each record. This lets you go ahead and connect up that particular Lightning component to a template using the mail merge fields. And then whenever somebody comes into that record, they can simply hit copy document from template, and it creates a clone of that document using that template as a starting point. So that's how you get the documents onto the page. Let's take a look at how that process builder process was working in the case forming use case. So I've got a process builder process that's going to handle case escalation on the case object. It's going to trigger whenever the case is created or edited, and then it checks to see if the case has been escalated. And then it uses a few things. It uses a flow to go ahead and actually create the case forming document. So let's take a look at that particular flow. What it does is it populates the case record. It then decides to use a different template based off of criteria. So it can actually choose a different template depending on why the case was created or other details on the actual case record. And then it uses an action to go ahead and copy a document from a template. Let me show you what that looks like. If I drag and drop this actions component and I look for this new Quip category that is new for summer 19, I can go ahead and click on this copy document option. When I do that, I can put in a URL for the template document. I can choose if that document is visible to everybody in the company, or if there's specific email addresses I want to add, or if I want to move it into a particular folder. So this lets me set all the sharing settings. But most importantly, if I pass in a source record ID, this will go ahead and let me bind the object to the right document. What I mean by that is, if you saw in my demos, I was going ahead and bringing in the case ID or the live case record as part of copying the document. The way it works is when you copy the document and you pass in the case ID or the record ID using this parameter, it will cause Quip to automatically bind to that, whether it's for the live record live app or for the mail merge field. So this is a really important option that you guys should check out. And as part of the output values, I'm going to get back the document title for the document that got created, the ID, as well as the link. And I can use the document link that I get back to update the custom field that backs the Lightning component for the Quip document component. So that's roughly the way it's set up. You trigger it based off of a change in the case object. You can use any of these actions. And then when you're creating the document, if you want to pre-populate the document with details from the case, definitely pass in that source ID. Once you do that, it goes ahead and sets everything. It gives you a URL, and you can use that URL to update the document component. You can simply associate the document with the case record and have it in the associated documents list. The options are pretty much endless. So that's how case forming with Quip for Salesforce works in the summer 19 release. With that, let me hand it back to Sophia.
All right, so there's really three big areas that we're focused on right now as a product and development team. The first one, which we showed, was around bringing more of Quip into Salesforce and bringing more of Quip into Process Builder, into Flow Builder, into bringing Quip notifications into a component, Quip documents into a component, and so on. A second big piece is bringing more Salesforce into Quip, of pulling in live records, live reports, and so on, and actually embedding those into Quip documents so you can collaborate and pull those into context. The third big area is around setup. It's around building enough of the infrastructure so it's really easy to use these two products really seamlessly together. The big thing that we launched in the summer release for this was around setup and user management. We made it so that it's really fast and really easy to actually provision your users in Quip based on your users in Salesforce, because it's actually not just your Salesforce users who can have accounts in Quip, it's actually anybody at your company. So you could have, as for example, within Quip, we have our salespeople have Salesforce licenses and use Salesforce, but really our engineering team actually runs engineering projects within Quip. So when both those people are in Quip together, they can work off of documents, say a customer issue, it can be escalated and resolved really quickly. Another feature that we did here was around making it easier for your users to find the correct Quip site. So as an admin, you don't have to worry that they're going to be confused about which site to join. Some additional resources as an admin who might be interested in what we talked about today or might want to learn more. One of them is the Quip for Salesforce Admin Guide. We have this great support article that walks you through everything we talked about today, as well as much more. We have our Summer 19 Quip functionality notes online, as well as a Quip for Salesforce webpage in case you're interested in some of those templates that we talked about and learning more about what use cases might be relevant for you.
Thank you, Sophia, for covering how Quip setup has become so much easier in the summer release. And thank you, everybody, for watching this special presentation on Quip for Salesforce for the Summer 19 release. We look forward to being back here in the studios again in a few months to show you what we've built in the Winter 20 release. With that, goodbye.